Gotta go fast.
Page 666 for doing the practice test. That's a bad number to have there. I'm going to write through 667 so it doesn't look as, oh wait, it's 668. Okay, we have 10 multiple choice. So the first one says a study of road rage, ooh, can't see it, as separate random samples of 596 men and 523 women about their behavior while driving. Based on their answers, each respondent was assigned a road rage score on a scale of 0 to 20. Are the conditions for performing a two-sample t-test satisfied? Were they random? Yes. Are their sample sizes at least 30? Yes. Okay, so yes. We don't want normal. D's bad because it says normal is supposed to be means in T. So it's E. Yay, we got it right. Good job. Pat yourself on the back. Number 1's right. Number 2
Speed run.
says 35 people from a random sample of 125 workers from company A admitted to using sick leave when they weren't ill. 17 employees. Okay, look at the whole thing. They're asking you to plug in stuff. So I'm going to just go through real quick. Here's 95% confidence interval. Well, this one's missing its little Z star because these are proportions, not means. I didn't even finish reading the problem. 95% has to be 1.96, so it's either B or D by Arthur. And the other thing to remember that this is the crucial part. If it's an interval, we do the standard error. And if it's the test, we do the pooled p-hat. Well, standard error is this one. Standard deviation for your test is this one. So that means it's got to be the one that has the different numbers in it. 1.96, these two. It looks like it is B. B correct? Yes, B's right. We got that one right. Woohoo! 100% so far. Number 3. The power takeoff driveline on tractors used in agricultural's potential. Oh my gosh, there's a lot to read on this one. Let's look at the choices. Which of the following is not a condition for performing the significance test? Oh. So I'm just glancing through and they did a ho and a ha. Their proportions. So I'm going through and they're asking which one conditions do we have to make sure, or which one is not a condition that we would normally check for this test. And when you write with your plan thing, do we ever say that we know the populations are normal? No, we worry about random and having at least 10 successes and 10 failures. And some of you write the whole less than 10% thing. It's not really necessary if they're random. But, and they have to be independent. Yeah, that goes along with the whole random thing. It's A. We never say that the populations are normal. Look, I didn't even read all that. Shame on me. Number 4. Quiz question gives random samples of n equals 10 of the observations from each of 2 normally distributed populations. Tom uses the table of T distribution critical values and 9 degrees of freedom. For the T, Janelle uses her calculator, 2 sample T interval. Assuming that both students calculate the intervals correctly, which of the following is true? Well, Tom did a T distribution and had 9 degrees of freedom. For the difference in the population means, Janelle uses her calculator for 2 sample T interval, has a larger degrees of freedom, which means the spread should be smaller. And they both calculated their intervals correctly. smaller the degrees of freedom, the further away from your normal curve you get, and the wider the spread. So I think it's just Tom's interval is wider. Yeah, because it says there's insufficient information, but they're telling you two main factors. As your degrees of freedom gets bigger and bigger, it's based on your sample sizes. It gets closer and closer to the normal curve, which is less spread out than your t-distribution. So it should be A, Tom's confidence interval is wider. Check. Yep, that's right. And then 5. Whew. We got this whole little thing down here. Refer to the following setting. A researcher wished to compare the average amount of time spent in extracurricular activities by high school students in a suburban school district with that in a school district of a large city. Researcher obtained a simple random sample. Thanks, Colin. 60 high school students in the large suburban school district and found the mean time spent in extracurricular activities per week to be 6 hours with a standard deviation of 3, and the researcher also obtained a sample of 40 high school students, extracurricular activities to be 5 hours with standard deviation of 2. Suppose that the researcher decides to carry out a significance test versus a two-sided alternative. That means your HA is not equal to. Don't really need that though. We're just checking to see which one's correct. And since we only have the standard deviation of the samples, we should rule out A and B here because they have Z. And then down here, we're just making sure that they did the formula right. That's all this question is asking. And you have the formula. Look, it's right here. This is when you pool. This is for pooling, and we never do that. So ignore that. We're going to use this one. So the only one that's right is E. That was easy. Number 6. The p-value for the test is 0.048. A correct conclusion is 2. Okay, 0.048 is small, so you should reject your null. At the 0.05 level, there's convincing evidence of a difference in the average time spent on extracurricular activities by students in the suburban and city school districts. Hey, that one sounds pretty good. Let me go back through, though, and check the rest. Oh, it said fail to reject. I can't even read right now. Okay, sorry. A would be wrong. B also says fail to reject. C says fail to reject. So we're down to D and E. D says there is not convincing evidence. Well, if you reject, then there is convincing evidence of a difference. So E says reject, there is convincing evidence. Hey, that one sounds right. Check your answer. Yep, that one's right. 6 is E. 7 is at a baseball game, 42 of 65 randomly selected people own an iPod at a rock concert. Okay, we got 42 out of 65, 34 out of 52. Those are proportions. A researcher wants to test the claim that the proportion of iPod owners in the two venues is different. We have a 90% confidence interval. Which of the following? This interval, since we have two proportions, contains 0. So if you were going to do a test, since 0 is in there, you would fail to reject your HO. So because the confidence interval includes 0, the researcher conclude the proportion of owners is the same. Well, I don't like how that's worded. That's sounding that we support and we have evidence of the HO or the HO. Because the standard interval is negative 0.008, the researcher conclude that a higher proportion of people at the rock concert nope, 0 was in there. It doesn't mean that the center is the answer. Because the confidence interval includes 0, the researchers, by Colin, cannot conclude that the proportion of iPod owners at the two venues is different. I like that one. And because the confidence interval includes more negative than positive, no, that doesn't matter. The researcher cannot draw a conclusion. Yeah, we can. I'm thinking it's C. Let's check our answer. Number 7, C. Hey, we are on a roll, 100%. Watch out test, here we come. Number 8. We have a simple random sample of size 100 is taken from population A with proportion 0.8 of successes. Wow, that's confusing. An independent simple random sample of size 400 is taken population B, and again it's proportions. Sampling distribution for the difference in sample proportions has what mean and standard deviation? Oh, they're trying to get tricky. Okay, here's the thing. We're doing the difference, population A minus population B. Look down here, they're talking about the means. This means you subtract those two numbers. Oh, that didn't help. They're all 0.3. Okay, so now they want the standard deviation. So this is where we have to actually do some math. It's going to be okay. Sample disproportions has what mean? Oh, you know what? Could we plug them into the calculator? I think we could, and the calculator probably give us our answer. Let's check it out. If we do a 2-prop-z test, it'll give us our pooled p-hat at least, because we need that. So stat test 2-prop-z test, and we had 0.8 times 100. Enter. And then our sample size was 100. And then we had 0.5, was 0.5? Yep, 0.5 successes. So 0.5 times 400, 200, and 4, oops, stat test, 2-prop-z test, 400, and I think they were looking for, well, I guess it really doesn't matter which way we go, because we're just trying to find that p-hat pooled. If I calculate, it gives me, of course, a z-score, p-hat 1, p-hat 2, oops, you can't see. This is p-hat, the pooled one. So 0.56. So when I look at my formula sheet, p-hat pooled, this is the one I have to use down here. So I'm going to use that 0.56 and plug it in for that p and figure out this math to get my answer. So there is a way to do it by hand. I'll show you that too. For number 8, we've got that p-hat combined or pooled is 0.56. We got that by, or they got that by adding your successes from each group. So it was 80 plus 200 over the combined sample size, 100 plus 400. And if you do the math there, we should get 280 over 500, which is the 0.56. That's where that came from. So we need the 0.56 times 1 minus 0.56 times 1 over n1, which was 100, plus 1 over 400. And that will give us our answer. So doing the math, I have 0.56 times 1 minus 0.56, oops, parentheses. Enter at 0.2464, and then I'm going to do divided by n1 divided by 100 plus 0.2464 divided by 400. Now be careful, because 0.003 I bet is one of the options. I have to square root that. You get 0.055. Let's see what our options are here. Ooh, that wasn't on there. What happened? That's what mean and standard deviation. The book said number 8. Oh, we weren't supposed to pool it. Why weren't we supposed to pool it? Very interesting. Okay, I'm stumped. Well, even if we did pool, we got 0.055. And the closest answer is this one, C. Not pulling, because I blew it, sorry guys. This would have been, what was 0.8 times 0.2 over 100 plus 0.5 times 0.5 over 400. And you end up with 0.047. So either way, the best choice would have been C. So if I guess one of your choices isn't exactly there, go back and do it the other way. I know, horrible teaching on my part. Apologize. Number 9. Here we go. How much more effective is exercise and drug treatment than alone at reducing the rate of heart attacks among men aged 65 and older? To find out, researchers perform a completely randomized experiment involving 1,000 healthy males in this age group. Half of the subjects are assigned to receive drug treatment only, while the other half are assigned to exercise regularly and to receive drug treatment. Okay. Half of the subjects are assigned to receive a drug treatment only, while the other half are assigned to exercise and get the drugs. So there's two different groups getting two different things. Most appropriate inference method for this would be, we have two groups doing two different things. They can't be matched. What are we looking for? Let's see, how much more effective is exercise and drug treatment than drug treatment alone at reducing the rate of heart attacks? So there's no average here. Either guys are going to have heart attacks or they're not. So that's a proportion. So looking at our options here, looks like B, the 2-sample Z interval. I know they have the test there, but they're trying to figure out which one is more effective. They're not starting with they're equal to each other. I mean, you wouldn't be totally wrong if you had to do this one and you did a test, but let's see what the book says. It says we are measuring, whoa, there it is. We are measuring heart attack rate in the two groups, and the method should be to compare two proportions. Because we're asking how big of a difference is, the method used by confidence interval. Because I don't know how big the difference is. We're not saying it's the same. So it should be B, the interval. And then number 10 is paper, and it is 4:40. I don't know if I'm going to have time to be able to do the rest here. I'm going to get my two little boys. Researchers are interested in evaluating the effect of a natural product on reducing blood pressure. This will be done by comparing the mean reduction in blood pressure of a treatment natural product group and a placebo group using a 2-sample t-test. The researchers would like to be able to detect whether the natural product reduces blood pressure by at least 7 points more on average than the placebo. If groups of size 50 are used in an experiment, 2-sample t-test using alpha equal to 0.01 will have power of 80% to detect a 7-point difference in the mean blood pressure reduction. If the researchers want to be able to detect a 5-point difference instead, then the power of the test, they want a 7-point difference in the mean blood pressure, or a 5-point difference. They're dropping down from 7 to 5, and that's a tighter difference. So since you're trying to determine a smaller difference, it's not going to stand out as much in a 7-point difference, then you're going to end up decreasing your power. Well, we didn't talk about that too much. I wouldn't be concerned with this. Of course, I'm not putting it on your test tomorrow. But it's just something extra, I guess, the higher level type questioning on power and if you're understanding what's happening. Basically, the main thing I would look at is you're looking to be more specific in your answer. So your power is weakened because your power is bigger, because your power is the ability to reject your null and be right about it. So in order to reject the null, it's easier to reject it when things are way off than when they're really hard to see that there's something wrong. So I don't know if that answers it enough. But let's look at what the book said. It says, hey, we're trying to detect a smaller difference. Power will be smaller because it will be harder to detect the difference. Okay, that's pretty much what I said. I just don't like the question in general. I don't think that's really testing your knowledge of all of this stuff. So we have 11, 12, and then that's a lot of writing. Not as much writing as I'm going to do. 13. How about I copy these and you guys can check them over tomorrow morning. Of course, aren't the answers in the back of the book? 10, 11, 12, 8, 9, practice test. Probably just as good in the back. There's answers to the review. Got 11 down there. Yeah, 12 and 13. It's pretty much the same as what I have. So, check these out. Ask me if you have questions in the morning. It's very similar to everything we've already done. So, good luck. Don't stay up too late. Eat a good dinner. Study hard. Thank you.